This is like hugely life-changing and transformational, and please take it out in the world with you, because this is how we can create the snowball effect, and this is how we can make a difference in our lives and in our children's lives and in the whole community. It blows my mind that this is not in schools. Do we have any educators or frontline people in the room? Yes, please take this to them.
What do you mean by frontline?
Like your nurses, your your support workers, your like anyone that's. What do you do?
Oh, government council. I work for face-to-face with people coming into
Yep.
government.
If you can get it into the government, oh my God, that would be amazing. Yes. I mean, we can use it. We can, put it out in all of our careers, I'm sure. But I just talk about the educators and the frontliners just because it can create so much of that snowball effect for us. So this is taught a lot in corporate worlds as well, and you can literally Google, YouTube this, you'll get heaps of videos if you Google either above, below the line or cause effect. It's kind of talked about in that way. So this is the notion that life happens through me, not to me. And that life it's a choice, right? I want to live life at cause, not at effect, which is the reference of above or below the line. So when we are living above the line, we are taking accountability and responsibility for our triggers, our emotions, our stuff. Yes, shit things happen to us, but we're adults now, and like no one else is going to fix this for us. We've got to, we've got to take the bull by the horns and take responsibility and accountability for what's happening in our world now. We know that the world is happening through us and not to us, so we don't use language like, you made me angry. Yeah, nobody makes you anything. We are choosing our world. We are choosing what's happening to us. And if you believe in the higher stuff and the spiritual stuff, that's a whole other thing as well. Where, our energy, the energy that we're putting out, creates the, where energy goes, energy flows, yes.
I have a question about, I guess, a work situation.
Yes.
And if someone's treating you a particular way and you know that it's, most likely there's a personal issue there. And, so are you saying that we shouldn't take it personally? And that's
Can I ask for some more, I do need some more context there. How do you think they're treating you?
So if someone's isolating you from the rest of the team.
What's your evidence for that? How do you know they're isolating you from the team? What are you seeing? Yeah, what are you actually seeing happening?
Not inviting you, specifically excluding you from meetings.
Yep.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
And have you asked that person about that?
Not in such direct ways.
Yep.
Yes.
So you've seen them excluding you from meetings and not inviting you to meetings, and you've made that mean that they have an issue with you.
Well, they've kind of said that already.
Yeah, what did they say exactly?
You grate on me.
That you what? Great.
Grate on them, yeah.
Can you, do you know what they mean by great?
I know them.
Yeah, well that's their choice to let you annoy them, first of all, the language they're using. And then I would ask, well, what is it that I'm doing specifically that you think is annoying to you? So you put the onus back on them. Yeah, it's probably something, it's always our own shit. It's never you, love. It's going to be them and their shit. They're being triggered. There's something that's happening to them and it's got nothing to do with you. So if you can find out and have that calm, rational discussion, I get it. It's not that easy when you start the journey, but you'll get there. That calm, rational discussion based on evidence and facts. Don't make stuff up. Because some of what I heard you saying, you were making things up. Like, we need the hard evidence. You use the hard evidence and you say things like, well, what makes you think I grate on you? Like, what have you heard me say or do? And then they'll tell you, like, oh, I totally didn't mean that. And then it's cleared up in a second. And then suddenly you're best friends again. Maybe not with this person, but you know what I mean. Like, there's so much stuff that gets lost in translation and assumptions and meaning making that we do. And so there is a certain communication model that I teach in my course that clears all that stuff up. Mum just watched it the other day. How was that for you, Mum? Yeah. So she says I have to be careful what I say. Anyway, it's not what I mean, but does that help? Yeah. Yeah. Find out why they think that go.
No, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking more about me. Like,
Yeah. How you're reacting now. Yeah.
I mean, she's out there for me now.
Yeah. So what's your reaction to that now?
I've tried to, I can't change her or that situation.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Yeah.
It's difficult because I have to pick my battles. It's a workplace. I live
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Rock,
yeah,
so,
of course, yeah.
So I've been very patient for a year, and I've been moved to another team. So
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah. Is
But
it still bothering you right now?
It's just a bit awkward with her.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah. If you want to actually repair the relationship, you'd be wanting to have that kind of conversation. But what you want to do is not be triggered by it then. Yeah. So, huh?
Don't own it.
Don't own.
Don't own it. Don't
It's
own
her
it.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally her stuff. That's one thing, is to always realise we're all human beings just trying to do the best we can with the resources that we have. And not everybody has all these resources that we have. They don't have this level of awareness, this level of emotional intelligence. And so when you can come at it from like that compassionate and just go, it's so cool, I see you. I see you. I see your stuff. I'm not taking it on. I see your guilt trip. I'm not taking it on. I still love you, but I'm not taking it on. That's yours. You want to have that vibration in your body? Go for it. And I'm not going to take that vibrational energy on. It doesn't help us, right? It doesn't help. Yeah. So when we're living above the line, we're taking accountability and responsibility. We know that we are part of the system. We're not disconnected from the system. We are in the matrix. We're all part of the system. One breath that we take can create all this movement in a room. One step this way can create a wave of things in a room of people. So we know we're also connected and part of the system. And so when we come from an above the line place, we go, okay, what do I have control of right here in this situation? What can I do to come from a place of responsibility and accountability? So when we're living below the line, we're doing things like justifying, blaming, pointing the finger. You made me angry. Denying. I had nothing to do with that. That wasn't my fault. It was all their fault. And quitting, throwing their hands up and going, I'm done, I'm out. So this is below the line behaviour. So notice in your life when you do these things and when the people around you do these things. And when I first learnt this, I wrote JBDQ on my hand, and I would just walk around all day and go, am I doing any one of these right now? And just remind myself. Justifying, blaming, denying and quitting. And justifying is where excuse land lives as well. And so as I go through these, just notice in your own body and your own awareness, which one makes you go like this the most. That's the one you know you do the most. So circle that one and just do that one for a week. Just notice, when am I making excuses?
What's the D?
Pardon?
What's the D?
Deny. Deny. I had nothing to do with this. Wasn't my fault. It's all your fault. It was all you.
Is it about our own behaviours?
Pardon?
Like, it's all about our own behaviours?
You can notice it about you and others. So we'll do it and others will do it. So notice when people are making excuses or when you make an excuse for something. It's about both.
Do you think though, like, say you're in a toxic relationship, quitting is bad?
That's a different scenario. When abuse is happening, leaving the scenario is an empowered action. That's not quitting. Yeah. Yeah.
If someone's going through a really tough time or they've got traumas,
Yeah.
justifying their behaviours
Yeah.
or trying to understand
Yeah.
maybe is that considered not like a no?
Give me more. What do you mean by that?
Oh, like for example, like looking at a family situation, you know, the way my parents were raised,
Yes.
or there's, you know, then my mum got sick, like
Yeah.
I can understand why. Like it doesn't.
Which
necessarily
behaviour are you
justify.
talking about, though?
We
What
don't want to go too deep.
Yeah.
Into it.
I just need some examples so I can understand. Like,
abuse. Yeah.
pardon?
Abuse.
Yeah. So the other, are you talking about you as the person justifying, or the yeah? So you, oh yeah. Well, this is common with us, right? We say I'm like this because this happened to me. Is that what you're talking about?
No, justifying why she's like that.
Oh, why?
Justifying why she does what she does to you.
Oh, because she was abused.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I mean, I used to do this with my dad as well. Like he had years of abuse and got diagnosed as schizophrenia, and had certain actions and behaviours. There's also an NLP kind of core value that says we are not our behaviour as well. And so when I was able to see and disconnect, like Dad, his trauma, Dad, his behaviour, and know that we are not our behaviour, I was able to see Dad without all that stuff and just love Dad for who Dad is. But he still does all of those things. He's not changed any of those things. No one in my life has changed any of those things because they haven't done this work. I'm the only one that's changed those things.
And then you change other people probably because of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it does have a flow-on effect. When you start living above the line, when I stop making excuses for myself and I talk in that language, it just has a flow-on effect. The people around me, these beautiful women in the room at the back are in my life because they don't live like that. And we hold each other accountable when we talk like that. Yeah.
What is it called when you kind of do the opposite? You think this way, but at the same time you end up just taking on all the responsibility instead of pointing. You're just like, yep, that was definitely me. All my fault, and me becomes like the one just handling all of it.
People pleasing. Yeah. We're going to get to that after the break. So that's a trauma response. Is the people pleasing. So this is the thing, there's a few pieces to the puzzle here, right? We've got to first disconnect ourselves from our trauma, the labels, all of that stuff, work with our physical emotional response, not label things, emotions bad, and then we've got to live above the line, and then we've got to deal with our unhealed trauma responses, which one of them is people pleasing, could be people pleasing, perfectionism, all these things, which is something we'll go through after the break, so good timing. So I think we're close to that time. Just check. Yeah, we are. So I know this is like right now for you all. So I'm just gonna kind of let it sit with you for a little while. I have videos online about it too, where I explain it again, and just Google above the line thinking or YouTube, and there's heaps of videos on there that like continue to explain it as well. But I would just choose one of these things. Like, I mean, making excuses is the easiest one. We all do this, right? You can start with that and just notice in your awareness when you make excuses and when other people in your life make excuses. Hold yourself accountable, reframe yourself. Instead of that excuse, what would you say instead? How can you own it? And the simple, easiest one is when you say to people, you made me angry. Instead, you say, I feel angry. And I feel angry because I saw you raise your voice. You have to give the evidence, like not making it up, you know? Yeah, so start to look around in your world when you're doing these things and when others are doing it, like hold them accountable too. Don't let them put their stuff onto you. Don't let them put the guilt onto you. Yeah, just like, no, that's yours. People can get very triggered when you start to do this with them, so you have to be very, artful when you do this. Don't just say, oh, you're just making excuses. Like, be gentle and kind, and you start to ease people into this way of thinking. But that's why I want the educators to get it out there.
The tarot reader, I had a tarot reading, and the tarot reading said, always try and say ingest, Nina. She said, I think you have a very innate way of communication, but I think you need to do it too direct. Like I try and, speak my truth often, but as she said, I think the only thing you're not doing wrong is try and do a little bit in jest, but without, because I think sometimes there's a balance between in jest, because I think if you're speaking your truth in jest, it can come across as sarcasm as well. You know what I mean? You've got to be, there's a fine line, but that's what she said to me. Make it a bit more playful.
Yeah, humour can be a really good way to get in there.
Yeah.
If you hear someone making an excuse, oh, are you really going to go there? Are you really going to let that stop you? Is that the excuse you're going to use? Come on, you can do better than that. Give me something better than that. You can kind of use that too. But you've got to read the person in front of you as well. And yeah, just maybe, the people that are closest to you, teach them this and be like, so I'm going to start to practice this, and they'll be okay with you practicing on them. But I'm quite direct and abrupt in my approach, and that can sometimes go well and sometimes not so well. But I do find it really hard to, when I see all this stuff going on in someone, to just say kindly. I just go, well, this is an excuse. I just kind of lay it out. But this is why it's one of the first things I teach, and that anyone that comes to me needs to know this before we spend time together, and be okay with me calling them out on this stuff. Is everyone okay with me calling you out on this today? I didn't see any hands. Okay, good. It's a lot to take in, so I think now's a good time for a break.